Shopping for bargains has become a national obsession. Clothes have never been cheaper.
Get that kind of buzz of like, oh, I got a bargain.
But would our passion for throwaway fashion be so strong if we knew how our clothes were really made?
It doesn't really affect me if it's been made by a 3-year-old or a 50-year-old.
6 fashion fanatics have swapped shopping for India to find out firsthand what it takes to make us look good. Amongst them are ad man Richard McIntyre.
They've called them, sweatshops, and they've said it is child labour, but I'd quite like to sort of get my own opinion of it.
Aspiring fashion designer Tara Scott.
You can know that something's going on, but if you haven't seen it, then it's almost like is it real? Which truth do you believe?
And Luton girl Stacey Dooley.
I don't give it any thought. India is so far away, I don't really think.
Last week, they ventured deep into the Indian countryside to harvest the cotton that keeps the high street in business.
Don't shout at me, please.
But the hard work and tough conditions almost ripped them apart at the seams.
You know what, boys? You should be really ashamed of yourself.
It's an absolute, abomination.
Now they're on the final and most shocking leg of their journey. As they reach Mumbai, they're about to discover the true price of throwaway fashion.
Dirty, filthy, disgusting place to work, and it's just not safe.
Oh my God, a bit of the ceiling just fell off.
They will be put to work in the largest slum in Asia.
It's absolutely awful here.
We think that the conditions here are bad now. You wait till all the UK consumers revolt and turn around and say, actually, we're not going to buy any clothes from India anymore. You wait to see what the conditions are like in a year.
They come face to face with child labour.
Is he not ashamed of himself that he's got kids working for him?
To handicraft.
And try to find alternative ways of getting clothes made.
He's a baby, and he got beaten up. By a grown man, it just makes you feel sick.
As they return home to the UK, will their clothes ever mean the same again?
Now I want to know where my clothes are made, and I feel that other people should know where their clothes are made as well.
After 3 weeks working at all levels of the Indian clothing industry, the group finally arrive at Mumbai, home to Bollywood, high society and the fashion capital of India. Every year, thousands of people from across the country travel here with the dream of a better life working in the fashion business.
I actually expect Bombay to be a lot nicer than anywhere else we've been. It just looks a lot more cosmopolitan.
Certainly seems a lot wealthier, a lot more affluent.
It looks a lot more like people are living in the 21st century.
But the reality is that most of those looking for work end up here, Dharavi, the largest slum in Asia. It's a warren of backstreet factories producing millions of clothes for export abroad. Many end up on the UK high street. So it's here, in these cramped back rooms, that the Brits started working next.
A lot of people are attracted toward Mumbai, but they doesn't know the reality, what Mumbai is all about, how life is in Mumbai.
Waiting to meet them and escort them to where they'd be working was Devendra, an English-speaking local who grew up in the slum.
I'm going to show you the reality of Dharavi. I'm going to show you the garment factories. And some of these garment factories, they're exporting their garments to Western countries. Let's move this way. Come this side. Excuse me, guys. We are going this way. Let's move. Just watch your head. Watch out.
To get to their factories, they had to negotiate their way through the narrow streets and open sewers.
You can see here they're making jeans. And they're making jeans for branded companies. This side, guys.
Passing dozens of other backstreet workshops that support the slum's thriving fashion industry.
This is what the reality is all about.
Nothing they had seen until this point had prepared them for this.
It stinks, it makes you gag. It's filthy, there's poo on the floor. wee on the floor, rats on the floor, dead dogs on the floor. It's the worst place I've ever been in my entire life.
100%.
This is like hell for me.
Some of the factories were literally stacked on top of each other.
And you can see on the opposite side, that's one more garment factory. And even upstairs, they are making garments. So there are lots and lots of garment factories here. So I'll show you one of the factories. Come this side. You can just go in and have a look. This is the typical place where they are working. You can see it's a very small place, but a lot of people are employed in it. And this is one of the most important characteristics of a small-scale industry, where less capital is required, but a lot of people are employed. And you can see the working condition is not so good. Come slowly.
Are these legal?
These factories are completely legal. Yeah.
But this is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, the working conditions are absolutely
It's not
dreadful.
on. And the Indian Prime
How can
Minister
you
should
live
do
like
something.
this? It's
It's
filthy.
rubbish.
How can you live in these conditions? Don't you get sick?
They are used to it now. But once you are accustomed to one condition, and once you want to support your family, you need to work anywhere.
Now, after 3 weeks experiencing different sides of the Indian fashion industry, they have finally arrived at their last place of work.
Girls, you are going to work in this factory. Guys, you are going to go in that factory. So first I'll come this way.
Conditions are so cramped, the boys and girls have to work in separate workshops owned by brothers.
Oh my God.
So here they're making clothes for small kids.
It's just awful.
Both factories make clothes for export to the UK, but the shipment they will be making today is destined for the American market.
Yeah, come in. Come in. So this is the place where you are going to work today.
Because of the cramped conditions and bad sanitation in Dharavi, the factory owners will not allow the Brits to stay overnight alongside the regular workers. But the group must try to produce the same number of garments while working the same hours as the Indian tailors.
8 to 10 in the evening. The guy just told us that his workers make about 25 garments a day, and they work from 8 in the morning until 10 in the evening. They're not staying here that long.
The girls will be making clothes for a children's range in the USA, but they're not happy working in such tough conditions.
I don't think any of us could work till 10 in the evening, no way.
I can barely breathe.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing myself in here.
No.
You good?
Okay.
Reluctantly, the girls start work.
Oh my God, a bit of the ceiling just fell off.
This place is making me itch. It's just disgusting.
Absolutely awful here. You can't catch your breath properly because there's just dust and crap and bits of the ceiling falling down.
Stacey Dooley from Luton is a high street fashion fanatic.
I love, 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 love fashion. I just really enjoy all different types of trends, and I just love hanging out at the shops and buying the world.
Stacey could go out at 8 o'clock in the morning and still be shopping at 8 o'clock at night.
Like this one, I love it. I think it looks really Indian-y.
Before leaving England, she thought she was ready for life as an Indian worker.
I think I'll be shocked the way people have to work. I don't think it's going to be very glamorous at all. I think we're all going to look like dirtbags, sweating our pants off in the sweatshops. But I don't mind hard work.
But in one of India's most prestigious factories, she struggled to keep up on the production line.
Are you ready for the worst pocket you've ever seen in your life?
And when she left there and moved on to a backstreet Delhi workshop, she found the long hours and tough working conditions almost too much to take.
Please.
realise that would be so different.
Now working in the slum factories of Mumbai, she is facing her toughest challenge yet.
If someone asked me to describe hell, this is what I would describe. A safe working environment where you're not going to die of disease is not a lot to ask for.
It makes me feel like brands that might get their stuff made in places like this, I think, should be quite ashamed of themselves.
Like making me sick.
Barely an hour in, and Rita decides she's had enough.
You can't put someone who's not accustomed to this in a place like this and expect them to like stick it out. It's just filthy everywhere, and you're telling us to sit here and actually work in these conditions. It's just really making my skin crawl.
Down the street, Richard and Mark are making men's shirts also for export to America. They too are struggling with the conditions in their factory. Mark doesn't understand why the workers put up with it.
You work 10, 11 hours a day, sometimes you're working 7 days a week. You live here as well. Are you happy in that situation?
दिक्कत कुछ नहीं, काम नहीं बराबर, इसीलिए घूमते हैं. काम रहेगा तो काम करते हैं. ज़्यादा काम रहेगा तो ज़्यादा पैसा मिलेगा, काम नहीं रहेगा तो घूमेंगे, पैसा नहीं मिलेगा उतना. 7 दिन काम मिले तो अच्छा रहता है, खुश रहते हैं.
I know this is obviously, you know, it's beneficial to your family, but you obviously got to take into account obviously your own needs as well and your own feelings. And I would really like to know if you feel happy in those conditions.
पर पैसा होना चाहिए और घर परिवार के साथ में रहूं, अच्छे से घर में रहूं, वही खुशी है. मेहनत तो इसीलिए कर रहा हूं.
Workers here can regularly earn up to 250 rupees a day, or roughly £3.20, more than double what some of the workers in the cotton fields were earning. Mark are starting to change their minds about the slum factories.
You're looking at the conditions, and they're not very nice. I mean, you know, it's very dirty and stuff like that. And you think, all right, okay, I feel sorry for the people who live here. But I mean, these guys ain't. They're not sitting there upset down in the dumps glum. You know, they're just getting on with their work and just continuing about their lives.
I think that actually the message that I'm getting from everybody is that we're not really doing anything, wrong back as a UK consumer anyway. If anything, we're being a massive help to these guys, because if it wasn't for us buying their clothes, then as people keep pointing out, these guys wouldn't have a job. And if we think that the conditions here are bad now, you wait till all the UK consumers revolt and turn around and say, actually, we're not going to buy any clothes from India anymore because we're not happy with the conditions. You wait to see what the conditions are like in a year.
After spending hours in the slum factories, Tara is also beginning to see things in a different light.
When I got here, I was like, this is disgusting. I really felt like I really wanted to find out who was getting their stuff made here and like name and shame them and boycott them and all of that jazz. But there's so many jobs here, there's such a problem with unemployment, and people come to Bombay with dreams and aspirations, and maybe this is really good because this is somewhere for these people to come where they can get employment, they can get jobs, loads of jobs, and get a decent wage that's livable.
The group go back to work, and while they may be getting used to the tough conditions, they soon uncover something that they're far less comfortable with.
There's a boy in here, he's like 14.
As they speak to another worker, they discover that many in Dharavi began making clothes as small children.
He was 10 years old when he left home.
Oh my God. Why did you leave home?
He came to learn how to stitch. I just don't understand how a 10-year-old can actually be thinking about that kind of stuff. Think about earning for the family at 10. at 10 you're still like wanting to play outside.
Taking up Spice Girls routines.
Yeah.
As night draws in, the Brits have made just 6 completed items between them before they have to leave the factory.
There's been certain times when I've felt sad and I've felt pity for people, but today it's made me think that I need to do something maybe.
I'd definitely like to find out why children are working in these conditions and why they're not at school and why they're not wanting to get an education, or if it's their parents that are holding them back and putting them in these factories to earn for the family. I'd just like to know why all of this is going on.
As they leave Dharavi behind and head to a nearby hotel, their first day in the slum factories of Mumbai has been a real eye-opener. It's a new day in Mumbai. After 3 weeks working in some of the toughest conditions in the fashion business, the group are no longer willing to work in the slums. Yesterday, they discovered that many of the slum factories in Dharavi have a history of employing children. So now they want to find out the extent of the problem and if anything is being done to prevent it.
Yesterday we were quite shocked by the story of this 16-year-old who started work when he was like 10. And he's been working in like garment factories ever since. So it'd be quite interesting to see if there are any other kids working where they shouldn't be.
There are organisations working in the slums trying to put an end to child labour.
I'm Satish from Pratham.
I'm Georgina.
Stacey, nice to meet you.
Workers like Satish regularly patrol the factories looking for underage children.
So my work is like to, inspect like randomly.
Do the local people know that you come here to look for child labour?
Yeah.
I'm just like a bit worried that everyone's going to have seen you and the camera, and then if there is any child labour, word's going to spread and then the children are going to hide.
Yeah. They have many things like, putting the child behind the curtain, like to put the child into the pump and all. So otherwise they send the child upstairs to the house also. So it is quite difficult to find a child is in the factory that is working alone. Yeah. So we go and see factories. Okay?
Okay. Today, Satish has agreed to let the group come on patrol with him.
नमस्ते भैया जी, कि बच्चे स्कूल में जाते हैं क्या? आपके यहाँ पे बच्चे काम करते हैं?
Finding factories without children is a positive start, but the girls suspect they might simply be being kept out of sight.
The thing is, this is so stupid because they are obviously, it's like asking a thief, are you a thief? Yeah. Like, no one's going to admit that they're... And also, because we are the only English people in the whole of this entire million people area, we're going to stick out like sore thumbs.
There are thousands of legal or regulated factories stacked on top of each other. In India, it's against the law to have a child under the age of 14 years old working for you. So word of a patrol can spread fast. And the chances of catching a child on the job are remote.
We can come across like a factory and it could just be full of children, or we might not even find any children working. Like you just don't know. It does happen, but whether we'll see it happening or not is another story.
There is no children in the... so no children here, so we'll go to the other factory.
The more places they visit, the more frustrated they become.
Oh, when you do your inspections, do you just ask them if there's any children here?
Yeah.
Don't you think, that they're going to say no anyway?
Yeah. There is no children in the... One more room is there upstairs, so we can see there also.
As they check upstairs, Stacey thinks she sees a child trying to hide.
लेकिन वो क्यों छुप रहा था फिर अंदर? क्यों डर है तुमको? अरे मैं देखा ऐसे चुप पे बैठे था तुम।
वो भी मंगलवार से सोमवार को।
His scarf is up the stairs, so we ran up the stairs like action girl. And he hid under the table. He's hiding under the table.
इसकी उम्र क्या है? इसकी उम्र 16 इसका कुछ दाखिला वगैरह है आपको?
The workers claim the boy is 16, but Stacey isn't convinced.
You can hear in his voice that he's really young, that his voice has
काम करने के लिए स्कूल जाते थे तुम? नहीं, स्कूल क्यों नहीं जाते हो? हाँ?
स्कूल में फीस में महीना भरने के लिए पैसा नहीं है ना।
स्कूल का फीस?
हाँ, फिर खाने के लिए भी पैसा रहता, पैसा लेकर खाने के लिए जाओ ना जाएंगे स्कूल। मैं चला जाऊंगा स्कूल में खा लूँगा खाना वगैरह फिर घर का आदमी।
Stacey wants to know what might happen to the owner for employing children.
Will he receive a fine, or will he get threatened his factory to get closed down?
Yeah, he'll be fined. He has to pay the 20,000 rupees.
Oh, really?
And he'll be fined for 3 months or for 3 to 1 year imprisonment.
Really?
He could be fined up to 20,000 rupees, the equivalent of just over £3,500.
How come he's not that phased that he's just going to get fined 20,000 rupees? He doesn't really look so bothered.
He's saying that the child is above, it's like 16 years old. So he's like feeling comfortable that the child is above 14 years old.
Stacey wants to get to the bottom of how old the child is. If he's under the legal Indian working age of 14, the factory boss could be prosecuted.
How old are you?
तुम्हारी उम्र कितनी है?
16 साल.
16 years.
The problem is, in India, it can be very hard to prove a date of birth.
When's your birthday?
आपकी जन्मदिन पता है आपको? जन्म तारीख?
ध्यान नहीं है.
He don't know. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know when his birthday is. How do you know you're 16 then?
आपको कैसे पता चला कि आप 16 साल के हो?
मम्मी पापा बताए.
हाँ,
मम्मी पापा.
उसके his mom has told him that he is 16 years old.
So there's no birth certificate or anything? There's no proof of birth or anything?
No.
Is that person over there young as well? Right in the corner? He looks really young as well, do you think? 13, 14? It's just we're not blind. They're clearly not 16.
18?
How old is he saying?
He's laughing. He's telling 18 years old.
18.
नहीं
So
देखो
he's 2 years younger than me.
वो कब घर पे जा रहे हैं?
Is he not like ashamed of himself that he's got kids working for him?
But not everyone in the workshop agrees with Stacey.
दिखाएगा क्या? पढ़ाया कि ये बच्चा भूख मरेगा या चोरी करेगा ना डकैती करेगा? ये तो मारा जाएगा कल को. हाँ? और यहाँ रहेगा तो काम के लालच से ये दे सकते हैं 20,000 30,000 तो उसकी बहन की शादी हो सकता है, माँ बाप खा सकता है, बरोबर ना? हाँ? आप यहाँ से भगा दीजिएगा, दूसरा शहर जाएगा.
नहीं लगती है.
His defence is that the place is poor and he needs to work. We understand that it's obviously really poor here, but that doesn't give them the opportunity.
That's right.
It's just not on.
आपके कारखाने का एड्रेस लिखो.
As Satish cannot be completely sure that the boy is under the minimum legal working age of 14, he has given the factory owner 3 days to get him back to the village that he comes from. If he doesn't, the charity can prosecute through the Indian courts.
So how successful is the work you do? Is it helping?
We had visited now 4 or 5 factories. Out of them, we found only 2 children, those who are about 13, 14 of age. Initially, we were working with 4,000-5,000 children in the Dharavi. Now, it's that number has decreased.
Having been on a raid yesterday to find children working in factories, Mark, Amrita, Georgina and Stacey want to find out how children end up as child labourers. They're visiting a school set up by a local charity to meet some of the kids who have been rescued.
Did all these, every single one of these was working in a factory?
Yeah.
They seem like really, really young here. What's the average age?
Mostly the children from 9 to 12. 13, 14.
It's not hard, is it?
No.
As well as having a place to study, the children also live and sleep here.
These all your things? These all your belongings? Yeah? This is where he just keeps all his drawings and his crayons and his wash bag, his clothes, all his bits.
Stacey wants to know how these kids ended up as labourers.
If you don't mind, Mohammed, where's your mum? Where's your mum and your dad? Where's your family?
घर पे रहते हैं मेरे माँ पिता घर पे रहते मैं यहाँ पे अकेला.
Your mum and your dad, did they send you to the slum to work? Did they tell you to go?
मेरा गांव का आदमी था वो बोला चलो बम्बई काम कर बम्बई मजदूरी का काम करना इतना पैसा मिलेगा इसलिए मेरे माँ बाप ने बोला जाओ मैं आ गया. नहीं ठीक.
Do you miss your mum and dad, Mohammed?
नहीं आती यार. क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे अपना ही घर जैसा लगता है.
Sorry. Mohammed has just been here for 2 months, and he before then he used to work in a factory in the slum where we've been hanging out, like today and yesterday. That's where he was working, in like an embroidery factory, and the boss of the factory that he was working used to beat him up. He used to beat him up really bad, so he ran away. And now it's just like he's a baby. And he got beaten up by a grown man. It just makes you feel sick.
While the girls speak to the children, Mark has found a boy's way of communicating.
फिर 1-2 दिन के बाद में और दुकान पे गया तो मैं गया नहीं ना तो फिर पेड़ के ऊपर लटकाया मुझे और गुड़का वो पानी डाल दे. हाँ तो फिर उन्होंने बोले इसको यही पनिशमेंट देंगे. तो गुड़ के पानी से मक्खी चींटी आंख के ऊपर चिपकती है उड़का के.
I'm gonna go mad here. This is just horrific. Hey. Okay, fair enough that these kids have been like rescued, but what about the rest of them? There's hundreds out there, thousands of kids out there in India working in garment factories and just it's just all too much.
If you came here and you didn't want to go home and do something, you would be the wicked witch of the world. Like, there's no way you can come here, hang out with these like wicked, amazing kids, and just
You
think,
should never forget that.
"Glad that's not me." See ya.
I think that, you know, we see it in the news like every single week, you know, about sweatshops and child labour and stuff, and you know, you look at it and you completely forget about it the next day and you just don't think about it. But I think because we've been here and we've heard their stories, which are like absolutely horrific, I don't think it's something that we'll be able to forget about at all.
This little one here I've been playing cricket with and talking to, he's just holding on to me here, leaning up against me here. It's quite touching just even that, do you know what I mean? Isn't it? Hey.
It's morning in Mumbai. After spending time with the tailors in the Dharavi slums, Tara has also been doing some hard thinking.
Is that I really can't condone the conditions of some of the factories that we visited, but I can't really condemn them because they're providing people with jobs and with roofs over their head.
In the UK, Tara wants to be a fashion designer like her mum. She hoped that coming to India would help her career.
I really look forward to learning more skills because when I leave university, that's what I want to go into full-time business with my mum.
In the first factory, she proved she has what it takes to work on the production line.
I'm very happy with your hard work also.
But when she lived with the workers in a backstreet workshop, she was genuinely moved by the lives of the tailors.
People here bosh out stuff every day and they get 12 rupees for each one.
Now in Mumbai, having seen the conditions in the slum factories, she wants to try and find a better way of getting clothes made.
I'm looking for somewhere called something handicrafts. Creative Handicrafts, there it is. Hello, namaste.
Creative Handicrafts is a fair trade clothes manufacturer. All the profits are shared amongst the workers.
When you buy this handmade product of Creative Handicrafts, a fair trade organisation, you make our world a less unequal place. I just feel like all the places I've been to have just been so miserable and I've just witnessed so much unfair treatment and inequality that just to find somewhere that's main focus is to change that is just so nice.
Tara is thinking about getting some clothes made here for her mum's fashion label back in the UK.
So I'm just going to have a look at what we've got going on. Oh dear. None of the stuff is really cool. It seems to be kind of appealing to the ethical warrior type people, you know, vegans and, you know, that kind of stereotype. If fair trade is to really take off and become really successful worldwide, then it really needs to appeal to the mass market, you know, like young, like fashionistas who are people who are real kind of shopaholics. And this just wouldn't in a million years.
Tara's keen to try and change this, so she approaches the company's general manager with an idea.
Back home I have a business with my mum. Well, it's my mum's business, but I help her out with like designing and stuff like that. And I was wondering, do you think today I might be able to design something and have it made here?
We will be happy to produce for you.
Fantastic.
She's hoping to get something made that would appeal to a more fashion-conscious crowd.
I'm going to make something with like a tulip skirt that's quite inspired by the sacks that we had to wear when we were cotton picking. And Rita and I were kind of posing around in our sacks like, this is cool, I'm sure I could work this.
Once Tara finishes her design, the stitchers start work on the pattern. As they start putting it together, Tara realises that making such modern designs throws up a few problems for the tailors here.
A lot of the seamstresses here especially are quite unskilled in that they can do mostly just simple things and maybe struggle with more cutting-edge Western designs.
But the stitchers persevere. And after 4 hours, Tara's dress is ready for a fitting.
Looks good.
Thank you. A bit like a maternity dress, but the fans blowing loads of air off it.
Although it's not exactly what she wanted, Tara still feels fair trade is a route she wants to pursue.
I think that my mum and I would definitely look into getting clothes made here. I think that there are obstacles, but I think that they can, that we can overcome them. And I think that supporting an organisation like this is worth, that extra bit of effort.
Across town is the beachside hotel where the group is staying. It's a world away from slum factories. Yesterday, they visited a shelter for children who have been rescued from child labour. Now they're trying to think of ways they can help.
I'm definitely going to do something when I get home.
I will,
definitely.
It's sort of quite hard to, to think what can I do until you can actually go home and sort of research into it and see what there is available.
That doesn't mean that while we're still here for these last couple of days that we can't do something just to make the kids happy.
That foundation that we was at yesterday was just amazing, and I'd like to just help that foundation, and then they can help them. Yeah, and then they can help set up other ones.
It should just be brightened up with some colour and.
But even just going there and maybe painting on the walls, things like that.
Well, we can ask them what they want on their wall. It's their wall.
If we just get all the paints and go down there and ask them what they want to paint and just tell them they can paint what they want.
Yeah.
The group have decided they want to brighten up the school by helping the kids paint a mural on one of the walls.
How are you? You're fine? Namaste. Today, if you want to, we're all going to hang out and we're going to paint a wall. And if you guys, what you want to paint, tell us. We'll go and get the stuff and we can all hang out and paint. Is that all right? Yes. Excellent.
The group will help paint one wall and want the kids to choose what picture they should do.
Guys, what do you want to paint? What do you want to do? You are the bosses, and then you just tell us, and we're the slaves.
Tom and Jerry.
I don't know how to paint Tom and Jerry.
No, that's car.
Although the kids have plenty of ideas, there seem to be two favourites.
It's either a house or garden or a car.
Well, it looks like we're going with that one.
Okay, we're going to just run out now and get the paint and the stuff that we need for our house and garden, and then we'll be straight back. Is that all right?
Yes.
See you soon. Hello. This is what we need. The grass, and we need a sunshine.
We need black too.
Okay.
Having brought the paint, work on the picture gets started.
We gave the guys the basic drawing that they wanted. We've drawn it on the wall, now we're letting them sort of obviously colour it in, and it's going really well. They all seem very happy with it.
With everyone so excited to get in on the action,
We've all got a share.
They've taken over a little bit.
in no time at all, the house is almost finished. But the kids don't want to stop there.
Power Ranger.
And pretty soon, every wall in the school is getting a lick of paint.
That's good.
I'm really impressed.
Today was lovely. It was a really nice day. There is just a lovely feeling when you walk in it.
It's just nice to be able to do something for someone who hasn't really got anything.
जिस टाइम पे ड्राइंग बना रहे थे, कलर मार रहे थे.
We will never forget you.
For the last 4 weeks, these 6 fashion lovers have been living the life of the Indian garment workers to find out the truth about how our high street clothes are made. From multi-million-pound fashion houses
Very happy with your hard work.
to working and sleeping in the backstreet workshops.
Hey guys, please fresh yourself up and back to work.
Then into the countryside for the back-breaking job of picking the cotton. And having to live on the lowest wage in the clothing industry.
No way am I saying that.
They've seen the highs and the lows of the Indian fashion business. And now, in Mumbai, with their journey about to end, has this experience changed the way any of them feel about the clothes they wear and the people that make them?
I mean, it's made me think a lot more about where my clothes come from and actually how they're made. And I think I've realised the hard work that actually does go into it.
I'm going to sort of be very sceptical about, what I buy in a sense. I'll be probably checking labels, see where it was made.
I just think that the companies should be aware of how their clothes are being made and where they're being made.
When I sort of, see these people, and it sort of, it's a shock to sort of see just how poor their conditions are. And I mean, it can only make you sort of realise and make you think, actually, how important are these clothes that, that we buy, just bits of material that we wear, and, there's more to life than just the clothes.
Tomorrow morning, the group will be leaving India behind to go back to their normal lives in the UK. For Stacey, there's one last important thing to do. She's returning to the slums, to the garment factory where she found a child working 2 days ago. Before she leaves India, she wants to make sure that the kid has been sent home.
Okay, I'm just going upstairs to see if the kids are still here. Oh, there's kids.
The child they found 2 days ago is nowhere to be seen. But to her surprise, there's a new boy.
Now I'm going to get very angry, so we've got another one. It's just so frustrating.
Although they have found another child in the factory, because it's a Sunday, it's difficult to prove he works here.
We have seen today is the holiday and no one is working here.
I understand,
so it becomes difficult to say that the child is working or not.
Frustrated by the situation, they confront the owner.
लेकिन अभी जो नया बच्चा है आपके कारखाने में कौन तो एक आज आपने देखा है तो 14 साल के नीचे भी इतना रिस्की हो गया
संडे का दिन है कोई कहीं भी रहता है आता है
ऐसा नहीं है कि संडे के दिन में काम नहीं होता है
What just really winds me up and just makes me get a bit mad is when they're all laughing and they're all grinning.
They are just showing like we are not frightened.
This matter is taken very seriously because of the factory's previous history.
History निकाला मैंने आपके कारखाने में ऑलरेडी बच्चे थे देखो ये सब 6 बच्चे थे सब चला गया
सिंगल बैग की एक
नहीं वो लिखा है मैंने देखो सब चला गया वो मालूम है
वो जा रहा कल सुबह
इसका टिकट वगैरह कुछ है
उसके भाई आ रहा है बॉम्बे सेक्टर से वो तो जा ही रहा है भाई ऑलरेडी जा ही रहा है
हम लोग कैसे यकीन करें
It just winds me up because I've just found out today as well that it's 6 little lads that he's had here. It's not just a one-off. He just he's just a nasty piece of work, and I know he'll just continue to do it because the punishments aren't harsh enough.
Stacey is so angry at what she's heard. She wants to know where the factory's garments end up being sold.
बाहर विदेश अमेरिका लंदन सब
London?
Yeah, that means you should not wear all the things because we are to ban. Like the kids are doing the things. We should raise this issue.
There's so many shops in the high street that use beads in and sparkles and just exactly the stuff that goes on up there. Like I can think of at least 5 shops in the high street that love a bit of glitter, and I just think it's a strong possibility that the bits in there have come from somewhere like this. The scary thing is that makes you think, oh, that's a bit bad, is that it starts off here, like these tiny little Diddy sweatshops is where the garment starts with the kids, and then it gets shoved over to the market down the road, and then it gets passed on to the wholesalers, and then it just travels. It goes over the seas, and it goes to all, you know, other sides of the world, and then it just ends up in a trendy, glamorous shop window, looking beautiful, with a mannequin posing, and the whole process is lost, you know, and a baby made it.
It's 4 months since our fashion lovers returned from living the lives of the Indian workers who make our high street clothes. So how has the experience affected them, and how have they changed since being back? Georgina Briers used to have a passion for cheap fashion.
Before I went to India, I was the queen of cheap clothes. I loved a bargain.
But now, rather than going for a bargain, she wants to know about the conditions her clothes were made in before handing over the cash.
I think the biggest thing since I've been back from India is now I want to know where my clothes are made, and I feel that other people should know where their clothes are made as well.
So she's writing to over a dozen of her favourite high street stores to ask them how and where their clothes were made.
In all the letters that I wrote, I got 2 replies. One was quite helpful. They gave me, you know, the name of someone that I could contact. And the other one, they pretty much just fobbed me off and said that they can't supply that information. It's one of those things, people know it's going on, but they don't really want to know anything about it. I think it's just laziness, and I think people should know where their clothes are coming from.
But it's not just her attitude to clothes that has changed. Her experience of living with the Indian families has brought her closer to her own.
Before I went to India, me and my mum weren't getting on. We hadn't been for quite a few years, but now I just love spending time with her. We don't argue anymore. I think it's because I respect her now, which was the biggest thing that was missing before. I learned that from the Indian people because they're so respectful of everything and everyone, whereas I've never had that respect before.
Since Georgina's back from India, I've noticed a really, really big difference, like 110%. She's pleasant, she's a real joy to be around, and we've got a really good relationship that we never had before. My daughter, that I knew as my daughter, went to India, and somebody totally different came back. You did good, girl did good.
For account manager Mark Steadman, it's the attitude of the Indian people that's had the biggest impact.
I did expect to go there and see sort of workers, you know, crying out, saying, OK, we need to get paid more money and stuff. But it wasn't actually the case when we went there. You know, they was happy for the amount of money they were actually getting because, you know, they were in work.
Although compared to the West, many of the people didn't have much, it was the positive outlook of the factory workers that has left a lasting impression.
I do appreciate my life a lot more for what I've actually got, you know, for everything that I've got, you know. I'm a lot more appreciative, and I don't take things for granted as much as I probably used to.
How many racks do you want? 1, 2, 3?
Before going to India, Mark relied heavily on his mum.
Yep.
He loves being pampered. He loves, oh, you've made me a cup of tea. Oh, you've done me dinner.
But now even his mum is reaping the rewards of his new attitude.
Realise how much my mum actually does for me, you know, in the sense of, you know, the cleaning, the cooking, all those sort of aspects. So yeah, I have, since I've been back, I've tried to help her a bit more, probably wash up, hoover and tidy up a bit more. Just let her get on with the cooking now, because I really can't cook.
Yeah, you have a lovely time. Have a nice time, all right?
Yeah,
enjoy yourself, don't get too drunk.
I will.
Self-made man Richard McIntyre was always chasing success. But since being back from India, he's beginning to reassess his materialistic outlook.
Materialism is a bit sort of an empty box. You can have these nice things, you know, you can have whatever you can buy, TVs and clothes and cars and stuff like that, but ultimately, yeah, they might make you happy for a couple of months, just the fact that you've got them, but, you know, there's got to be sort of a greater meaning. You've got to be sort of striving to do something a bit more than that, really.
Now, instead of striving for the latest look, he's thinking about ways that people can make more informed choices about what they buy.
Should we know more about where our clothes come from? Like, you know, should there be like a label on it, like, you know, don't contain nuts, or something else does contain nuts or something? Should
this was made by a 12-year-old.
Yeah. Like, no 12-year-olds were involved in the making of this item. So, like, you think now about, like, what Jamie Oliver's done or whatever. A lot of people now go out shopping for food, and if the chicken doesn't say, or the packet of crisps it doesn't say organic, and that the chicken got at least 2.4 acres to run around or something and got a swing, they won't buy it. And maybe, I wonder what the difference between that is. Maybe it's just awareness.
So you want to be the Jamie Oliver of the fashion world then?
Since being back from India, Tara still wants to follow in her mum's footsteps as a designer. Now her passion for fashion is all about raising awareness.
The high street fashion industry has become so much about, like, oh, what's new, what's hot. We just kind of buy commodities without having any idea of the history behind them and the story behind them and where they've come from, how many hands they've been through before they arrive in yours. I don't think that fashion moving fast is wrong. I think that people being unfairly paid for their work is wrong. Where we have the choice to support, like, a fair trade organisation, I think that everyone should go out of their way to take that.
Before going to India, Amrita never really cared about where her clothes came from.
I think cheap fashion is great. I've seen, like, labels that do say, like, made in India, made wherever, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect me if it's been made by, you know, a 3-year-old or a 50-year-old.
But now she wants to put her old clothes to good use.
I've decided to come to Soho today to sell some of my old designer stuff to this vintage shop.
She wants to generate some money from her clothes to help the disadvantaged children she met.
I would much rather get the money myself and send it off to India, to the rescue centre, so that I know that all the money's going there.
These two little vests, £30 each.
Okay. I think that it's a better idea because some of my clothes were quite expensive and I think that they would probably be a lot more appreciated at this shop.
65.
Rather than me just giving them to a charity shop too.
225 pounds.
Thank you so much. This is going to go a very, very long way. Thanks.
3 months after getting back from India, Stacey is still passionate about helping the victims of child labour.
Hi guys!
Tonight, she has a big event planned to raise money for the Children's Rescue Centre.
I've been sent some pictures from the kids that we hung out with in India, and we're going to auction them and then send all the money off to India, and then they're going to use it to teach the babies English so that they can be super duper clever and get jobs when they're older. I really am made up. I'm really happy that everyone has come. Like, I'm so grateful. I was like to everyone, thanks for coming when they come in, because I was a bit nervous that I had no friends. Actually. Hi everyone, thank you for coming. As you all know, Alicia says every time I talk to someone, I tell the whole world I've been in India. I've been in India, and this is the first picture that we're auctioning in. It's called Bookworm, and like the little lads, they're just really into education, and they do just want to learn. Like, they're so grateful of school. Can I have £5? £10? £20? 25? £30? £30 going once. £30 going twice. £30 to the lady in the red jumper. Okay, the second picture is a picture of a birthday cake. £30. 45 for Joanne. Sold to my mum.
The Stacey before India was probably just not even ignorant, just didn't know because I'd never seen it, and now I have seen it. I'm a bit like, oh, right, okay. And I just think probably like to spend some of my time not just fluffing around doing stupid stuff, probably do some things for other people.
It's made her a lot stronger in herself, inner strength I think she's gained. She's learned how to rough it and tough it, you know, she used to be a bit of a 5-star girl. We're very, very privileged here, I think, and I think she really does know that. I think if anything, that's hit home with her. She's very privileged. You know, she should be very grateful for everything she's got.
60, 670, 680. £682 for the children of India we've raised. So that's like a year and a half's worth of English lessons for the whole entire school. I'm made up, I'm so happy. I'm really, really, really happy I've had tonight's event.
No one really cares where their clothes come from, and no people know. And you can't know, how can you know, unless you go there and you see.
Looking for something to wear that's been ethically produced? Check out Thread. Fashion without victim.
Well, it's comedy on the way next on BBC Three. It's brand new Scallywagger.